What is up, RAVERAIDE fam? Welcome to another episode of the RAVERAIDE Podcast with your host, Tyler Hardy. And I just wanted to take a moment, as always, to express my overwhelming love and gratitude for each and every one of you guys who tunes in on a daily basis and listens to our podcast and everything that we're talking about here at RAVERAIDE and all the things that we're attempting to do and assist you with in regards to helping you become the most self-actualized and self-love version of yourself possible, because that's what the world needs more of right now. We need more people that are empowered, that are making lasting change, not only for themselves, but for our planet, the other humans on this planet who need help at this time, as well as just, the collective. We really got to step up, and I see all the potential in the world for how much change we can bring and how quickly it can happen. But it starts with you. It starts with you doing the work and healing and working on the traumas and working on the things that are keeping you stuck in predictable patterns. So then that way you can step into what you're really meant to be and who you're really capable of being. So hopping into today's episode, the topic that I want to discuss is your life is going to be a total of what you're willing to tolerate. And I'm going to dive a little bit deeper on that. So one thing that I've noticed a lot about my life in particular, as well as other people's lives that I've noticed who tend to struggle and or want to make change in their life, is your life is what you're willing to tolerate. And what I mean by that is, if you're willing to tolerate not being healthy, if you're willing to tolerate not being in a healthy relationship, if you're willing to tolerate that boss that you don't like, if you're willing to tolerate your financial situation, if you're willing to tolerate the way that people treat you, if it's less than ideal, like that ultimately comes down to you. And that is your responsibility to change those things. It's also your responsibility to take accountability for those things as well, or that change won't happen. And it all originates from within. It all originates from with how you treat yourself, because the way that you treat yourself ultimately dictates how you let others know how you would like to be treated. And that is the basis for what we're going to be talking about today. So for a long time, I was one of those people who, would allow other people to take advantage of me. I would be really kind and giving. And that stemmed from a childhood trauma of, needing to be something else other than what I was to receive love. Basically becoming a chameleon in regards to, I'll be whatever you need me to be, and who you want me to be, in order for me to be able to receive love from you. And that's not how a healthy person receives love. Healthy people receive love by being authentically themselves, and they give themselves, the opportunity to be loved. And I think a lot of people block a lot of love out of their life, and they're afraid to be authentic because they feel that they need to be something else. And that really does generally stem from a childhood trauma response of, conditional love. Like, who did I need to be in regards to receive love from my parents? Who did I need to be accepted by my friends? Who did I need to be accepted by my teachers and my peers and every single person that, we look up to when we're younger? And once you're able to identify that and see how unhealthy of a pattern that is, you can break that pattern, and you will no longer tolerate, being inauthentic with yourself, being inauthentic with others, because you know that that's not going to bring you the happiness and fulfillment and joy and alignment that you deserve. And so, the big thing is, really looking and identifying and being aware of what are you tolerating in your life. And that applies to everything. Are you tolerating that bad relationship where your partner doesn't respect you or see you or validate you, or you're needing to be somebody else to receive love from them? Are you allowing your friends to, take advantage of you? Are you allowing people in your life to, take what you give them for granted? Are you one of those people who, allows themselves to not take good care of themselves, and then, that your health is subsequently affected by that? Are you tolerating that? Because the second that you're not willing to tolerate, what it is that's keeping you stuck, that's when change can happen. And so many people, they tend to float in that area of, this, what I would call the tolerable zone of things, right? So, when I got up to 300 pounds, the second I saw 300 on the scale, I was like, that's intolerable. That was the point in which I was like, I can't allow this to happen anymore. Unfortunately, my awareness wasn't high enough at the time to recognize that I was doing that to myself. And that really stemmed from, lack of self-love at the end of the day. But when that scale hit 300 pounds, I was like, I can't tolerate that anymore. I'm not going to do this anymore. And then I subsequently had a relationship that had just ended and stuff like that. So it all happened in due timing. But I no longer tolerated being that way and feeling that way anymore. And that's when I started to make a change. But the tricky part is when you get to the point where you're back in that tolerable range, and you're back in that range of, things aren't bad, they're not terrible, but they're not what they could be. And that's where a lot of people get stuck. They get stuck in that middle zone where they allow things to be tolerable. That job that, even though it pays the bills, they still hate it. They don't like their boss. They don't like their coworkers, whatever it is. They're not feeling passionate or fulfilled from it, but they still do it anyway. And that's what robs you of all of your fulfillment and enjoyment in life, is tolerating things that aren't of, the highest degree or highest capability or possibility for us. And so, it's one of those things where you have to really take an audit and an inventory of your day-to-day life and say, like, what things am I tolerating? What am I allowing to happen in my life? Because we allow so many things to happen in our life, and a lot of people don't have that buffer or, that boundary that they set with themselves and others and what they expect from themselves, so they let anything happen. And you, as a result of that, generally speaking, is if you're not the one who's guiding and dictating the outcomes of your life, what's going to end up happening is other people are going to dictate that for you. They're going to project their unconscious beliefs onto you. They're going to make you feel a certain type of way. They're going to gaslight you. They're going to put you in a position where, you are playing down to, what their belief system is. As is true with the inverse. If you're around amazing people, they can build you up. But generally speaking, people who are not willing to tolerate, lower vibrational things, like, they don't have people around like that in their life. And so if you want to be around people like that, then you have to raise your standards and what you're willing to tolerate. And then you're going to start drawing in more of those people that have self-respect, that have self-love, that are there to help you, through this journey of life. Because there's a lot of amazing people out there who, have your best interests in mind. You just have to find them, and you have to become a person of value as a result of that, to get to that point. And so the big thing I just want to re-emphasize here is, like, you're the one who's tolerating what's happening in your life. You're the one who's putting off that hard decision. You're the one who's putting off that hard conversation. You're the one who is avoiding. You're the one who is, allowing someone to take advantage of you or things to not go your way. You're allowing that to happen. And, as much as I want to, in ways, be gentle and soft, my goal is to do this all from the place and positioning of self-love, is I'm going to be honest about things that are going to be potentially keeping you from where you want to go. And that's the honesty that I carry with myself. That's the honesty that we carry with the team here at RAVERAIDE, is when something is not going the way that we want it to go, we become very honest with one another about why we're not getting where we want to go. And it's never about, attacking someone. It's never about, putting us in a position where, we're going after someone and them personally. It's about the common goal and what we're wanting to accomplish here. And so the big thing is, it comes down to what you're willing to tolerate. If you you need to wake up earlier to get to the gym and take good care of yourself, and you don't do it, you're tolerating the life that you're living. You're tolerating the standard for what you expect from yourself. And eventually, once, like I was mentioning before, once you're back in the tolerable zone, that's the tricky area. That's the area in which a lot of people will get stuck, because it's not so drastic or, awful to the point where they know that they need to make a change. Like, I couldn't imagine gaining more weight than what I was at my all-time high. And so I was like, okay, I can't be anything more than that. So obviously that was like the breaking point. And most humans, I've noticed through, like, basic psychology, is that most humans, do things for two reasons. They either do it to avoid pain, or they do things to gain pleasure. And generally speaking, humans tend to wait until the pain is so drastic and the pain is so, to that point where they can't tolerate it anymore before they make any sort of change. And that's just the general human psychology. I've watched countless people do. I've done it to myself numerous times, and I don't do that anymore because I know where I want to go. And I think that the way in which you can really get clear on what it is that you're wanting from your life is spending that time intimately working on what would make me the most happy, what would make me the most fulfilled, what would put me in this place where I was constantly, living in my truth and my best self. And from there, you start constructing what it is that you want. Like, what do you desire physically? What do you desire emotionally and mentally? What do you desire in your relationships with yourself, with others, with a romantic partner? What do you desire in your work and mission and purpose? What do you desire for your time? What do you desire financially? What do you desire in your spiritual life? Then you start getting really clear on those things. And this is where the magic happens. This is the part that I really want you to take and actually implement, is when we gain the clarity around the things that we actually want for ourselves. What it does is it allows everything else to dissolve, because you start looking for the things that are going to actually bring those into your now moment. You start seeing those things that are actually going to help you manifest and create what it is that you want for yourself. So when I say I want, RAVERAIDE to be this certain type of company, then everything that is not congruent with that, all the actions that I take on a daily basis, the decisions that we make as the team, the impact we make in the community, if it's not congruent with where I want to take the business, then we don't do it. And that's where, really successful people, I've noticed, they have a really innate ability at saying no to things. Say no to mostly everything that comes up. I just choose to focus on the things that are important to me, because I've gotten to the point where that's all that really matters, right? And what I'm willing to tolerate, because you're going to have people in your life who are going to say, hey, come out and do this. Hey, do this. Hey, and they just try to distract you from what's important to you, because they don't see, the way that you see things and what's important to you. And so generally speaking, people who are, not really doing a whole lot, or they're easily distracted, they want to distract the people around them as well. They want them doing the same things that they're doing to justify what it is that they're doing, when they know that they're not doing what they should be doing. And so it's really important to make sure you surround yourself with people who are goal-oriented and very clear on where they're heading. And you'll start seeing a massive compounding, benefit in your life and their life as a result of that. And so it's important to know that once we gain that level of clarity, when we spend that time with ourselves, when we heal and see, what belief systems are keeping me stuck in, not having enough, lack, scarcity, not getting things my way, needing to be somebody else in order to receive love, self-sacrificial habits and destructive patterns. Like, you start becoming aware of those things and healing those things, and then you get clear on where you're wanting to go, and you believe that there's enough worthiness, you're going to be able to actually pursue those things. And the things that are incongruent with that, you're going to easily be able to say no to those things. And that's how you get where you really want to go. And that's how you get out of that tolerable zone, like I mentioned before, because you're no longer willing to tolerate even the smallest thing that keeps you from your goal and keeps you from what you're wanting to create. You're very crystal clear on where it is that you're heading, and anything that's incongruent with that robs you of the energy that you need to be able to accomplish those things, they start to become a hindrance to your life. And you're very willing, if you have worked through, any traumas or challenges that you're facing, you say, okay, well, I love myself so much, so I'm not going to tolerate that anymore. I'm not going to tolerate this person. I'm not going to tolerate the way that they treat me. I'm not going to tolerate the way that I've treated myself. I'm not going to tolerate, the job that I hate. I'm gonna go figure something else out. I'm gonna start a side hustle. I'm gonna start a career. I'm gonna start a business. I'm gonna start doing things that, bring more fulfillment into my life. And you'll start seeing this huge shift, because I will say, and I haven't really touched on this on other episodes, is that when you start doing the work and when you actually start, really healing and getting down to the subconscious and start becoming aware of the mechanisms that drive the way that you are, your whole life's gonna shift. You're going to have people fall off. You're going to have jobs fall away. You're going to have situations fall away. Your relationships with parents and people that you looked up to in your childhood years, those are going to completely change, and ultimately for the better. And so a lot of people are afraid to take that jump or that leap or do that work, because of the fact that, it's the unknown and it's scary. Not scary at all. I prefer to live in the unknown every single day, because I know that the only way that I'm going to get what I desire out of life is in the unknown, because I know what the past and predictable, the predictable past is going to give. So it's really not anything to be afraid of. It's just a shift in perspective, and knowing that, God and the universe or whatever you believe in, has your best interest in mind and wants the best thing for you. and you have to want the best thing for you. So then that way you can actually bring that into your now moment. So that way you can experience more of that abundance, more of that happiness, more of that joy. And when you do that, it puts you in a place where, your whole life will shift. And it happens really rapidly too when you get out of your own way. When you start becoming intolerable of the ways that you've been and the things that have kept you stuck, you get to this place where you just know that I'm going to get out of my own way. I am going to do whatever I need to do to make sure that I accomplish what I want to accomplish, as long as it doesn't, affect or harm any other human or, anything like that, obviously, having good ethics and good morals. But at the end of the day, it's like, I'm going to do what I need to do to get where I want to go. And that when you make that decision and that determination, you have, clarity that you're married to on where you're going. It allows you to have a reference point for, what you're willing to do, what you're willing to tolerate, what things you're willing to give up, what things you're willing to miss out on in order to achieve that long-term goal. And I think so many people struggle with this because everything is geared around immediate gratification. And something that I fell victim to for quite a while was like always wanting that next thing, always wanting that next hit of dopamine in whatever way I could get it. And it robs you of so much fulfillment in your life versus having these long-term stretch goals where it's like, it's just going to take me some time, but I know that when I arrive at that apex, it's going to be one of the most fulfilling, exciting moments of my entire existence. And I'm willing to delay that gratification. And so, to wrap up this episode, the main things I just wanted to get across with you is that your entire life is a definition of what you're willing to tolerate and who you're willing to tolerate and what you're, willing to tolerate and allow in to your mind, because we're so easily programmable. As, you can look around and see how much programming is going on, and you can see, what's really going on in life if you actually just take a moment and slow down and pay attention. And so you start seeing, what are you tolerating? Who are you tolerating? Why are you tolerating it? What is your belief system? If you don't feel like you're worthy, then it is a good indication that, you're going to allow people in that make you validate that feeling of not being worthy. If you feel that you're worthy of being loved, then the second that someone makes you not feel loved or gaslights you or makes you feel inferior compared to what you really are, then you are going to no longer tolerate that. You're going to speak up for yourself. You're going to say, hey, I don't agree with the way that you're making me feel right now. And then you're going to bring awareness to the situation. And then if it doesn't change and, you're not willing to tolerate it anymore, then you move on. And that's how change works. That's how you upgrade your life in every single way. And that's how you become what it is that you're meant to become, by having respect for yourself, by doing the things that you need to be doing on a daily basis, and really, getting clear on where it is that you're heading in all capacities. Where are you heading with your health? Where are you heading with your relationships? Where are you heading with your mission and purpose? Where are you heading with your financial life? Where are you heading with everything? Because the second that you're able to start seeing clearly on where it is that you would like to head, then you can start becoming way more congruent. And you have a guidepost in regards to, sorry, a bird just flew into the window. But anyway, you become a lot more clear on, where you're heading and what it is that you're wanting. And because there's so many things in this world, there's so many distractions, there's so many potentials for a great life. There's so many things you could do to create a great life for yourself. But until you get really clear on what it is that you want and how you want it and what it's going to feel like, then the ability to actually bring that in is going to be lessened. But the second that you're clear, you can really start moving and clearing the things out that don't contribute to that common goal that you have for yourself. And that's when life starts to get really fun. That's where you start finding, joy in the things that you're doing constantly, because you're doing the things that actually make you happy. That's why we have so much depression and anxiety and suicide rates on this planet, is people are doing shit that they fucking hate. They day in and day out are going to the job that they hate. They're in a relationship that they're not satisfied in. They're in a place where, they don't have the money that they want to have. They don't have the resources. They don't have the love and support of people that, appreciate their innate talents and abilities. They just kind of deal with what's around them and tolerate what's around them, thinking that that's the only option. And I'll tell you right now that that is not the only option. You can change your life at any given moment, and you can have a brand new set of places and characters and, people to surround yourself with, new experiences, new jobs, new careers, new passions, new hobbies at any given point. But most people aren't willing to give up what it is that they, have, because they're willing to tolerate that. Hey, it's pretty good. It's not great. It's pretty good. It's decent. I have to put up with this and this, but it's decent. That's a quick way to not live a fulfilling life. That's a quick way to live below your greatest potential. And I don't want that for you. I want you to live, and be abundant and joyous and prosperous and happy and fulfilled in everything, not just certain components of your life. Because I think the only true way to live life the right way is to be completely fulfilled in every single aspect of what you're doing, and not tolerating things that are not for your highest benefit and your highest good. And I know that's a challenging thing, and that might require some shifts, and that might put you in a position where you have to have that hard conversation with a significant other or a friend or, a boss or something like that. You might have to make some shifts and changes, and you're going to have to go into the unknown, and you're going to have to, interact and interface with, creation, and make those shifts and heal internally. But guess what? I can tell you, it's the most fulfilling, best thing that could ever happen to you. And Rave Raid's a result of that. It's a result of going into the unknown. It's a result of the healing. Like, the huge thing with Rave Raid is, like, it's not just a company. Like, I've had to change who I am in so many positive ways, and not tolerate certain things, and not waste my time, and not waste my resources and all the things that I have to make this company work. So it's one of those things where Rave Raid's been a huge, testing ground for my self-improvement, and an opportunity for me to heal and grow, and people on the team to heal and grow. And so it's just one of those things where we practice what we preach here. And I really hope that you guys feel that when I hop on the mic and I really speak about things that are actually important, the things that actually matter, because there's so many distractions and bullshit things that don't matter, that people are just getting pumped down their throats on a daily basis, when we should be talking more about stuff like this. We should be talking more about how to improve and optimize human experience on this planet and help each other heal. So then that way, when we heal the humans, we heal the planet, we heal the animals, we heal every single person here, and we're able to deal with systemic problems that we're facing as a collective. Because I know for a fact that if everybody was working towards a common goal, and every single person resided in the ideology of oneness, where we all are one, then we wouldn't have the problems that we have. We wouldn't tolerate the problems that we have. The reason that we have so many problems on this planet is because we're willing to tolerate them, because they don't affect you per se, right? The thing that's going on in a foreign country where people's rights are being taken away, that doesn't apply to you, so you don't care. And at the end of the day, it's one of those things where we have to come together and say, what are we willing to tolerate on this planet? What are we willing to put up with? And what are we willing to, change, so that way more people can live free, abundant lives, where they're able to use their, sovereignty and free will to actually, create change and create great experiences for themselves and others on this planet. Like, what are you willing to tolerate? So not only what are you willing to tolerate in your day-to-day life, but what are you willing to tolerate, as for the collective, right? What are you willing to tolerate with, the things outside of your day-to-day life, And I think you can find a lot of fulfillment by actually going after those things and saying, like, what am I passionate about? Because the quickest way to actually really obtain a high quality life is to serve something greater than yourself, to serve something that's more than just about you and your ego. It's about serving something that benefits other humans and benefits others in a positive way. And so when you start getting really passionate about certain things, like, for example, I'm really passionate about child trafficking. That's something that's absolutely unacceptable to me. And as we continue to grow at Rave Raid, we'll be involved with helping people and providing resources and donating and doing all those things, because I'm passionate about that. People should not be being treated like that. It shouldn't be, being used and, dehumanized on our planet. And we allow that to happen. We allow that to happen. By ignoring it, we allow things to happen. And so we have to really become honest with ourselves and say, what am I willing to tolerate in my life? What am I willing to tolerate in the lives of the people that matter most to me? What am I willing to tolerate in regards to what I believe in? And because everyone stands on the sidelines and acts like an innocent bystander, we're having the results that we're having as a collective on this planet, all this turmoil and war and famine and all the things that are going on. Like, we can put an end to all that stuff, but it requires you to step up, and it requires you to heal yourself and then heal others as a subsequent result, because we are our own medicine. You are your own medicine. You have all the answers and the God-given abilities and talents to be able to make a lasting change in your life. And I know that you can do it because I've done it, and you and I are no different. We're all one. So at the end of the day, you get to make those decisions for yourself, what you're willing to tolerate, who you're willing to tolerate, and what you're ultimately going to become as a result of that. And I'm really excited to see how many people experience, massive transformation with, us assisting in any way that we can, whether it be our products or the podcast or, making you laugh with one of our, posts or memes. Like, it could come in any way, shape, or form. And, medicine is in all things, and within each and every single one of us. So it's just unlocking that potential that each of us have. And, I just see, in my, 27 years of existence, that we live at such a low capacity for what we're actually able to accomplish on this planet together. And it's because we all tolerate it. We tolerate mediocrity from ourselves. We tolerate mediocrity from the people who, run our government and our officials. Like, we tolerate the mediocrity, and it gets to a point where it's intolerable. That's when shifts will happen. That's when changes will happen. So when I see everything going on in the world, I just see an opportunity for change that's coming. It is coming. There's a lot of people that are stepping up and actually living in their power, which is really cool to see. But until things get to a certain point where it's intolerable, like I mentioned, then change won't happen, because that tends to be human nature, until they get back to that tolerable zone, or we start actually working together to actually make those changes and those fixes. So it all comes down to you on an individual level. It comes down to groups of people. It comes down to the collective to step up, so in that way we can actually really make this an amazing place to live, because it's such a beautiful place to be. This human experience is so amazing. Like, that's just the best way to describe it. There's just so much to it. There's so much totality. There's so much purpose. There's so much experience to be had, and so few people actually get to experience it in their lifetime because they allow themselves not to, or they believe a certain belief system that keeps them from living in that power. And we're here to help make that shift. That's what we're here to do. So I'm gonna wrap up today's episode, guys. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. A lot of really valuable, things that you can integrate if they felt true to you in your day-to-day life. And I want you to ask yourself, what are you tolerating in your life? Who are you tolerating in your life? And what is keeping you from getting where you want to go? And have you given yourself the time to make that clarity for yourself, so then that way you can get really clear on where it is that you're heading, and then you can start making more congruent actions towards what it is that you're wanting to create. So without further ado, guys, be sure to check us out at www.drinkraverade.com, and I hope you guys have an amazing day. Peace.